What if I told you that the financial landscape of the entire world shifted while you were sleeping, that a silent, seismic event has taken place in the global banking system that effectively reprices the very concept of wealth and value for millions of people? Hold on to your seat, because according to a flood of breaking reports from forex trading floors, international banking insiders, and financial intelligence networks, that is precisely what has happened. And the numbers are so staggering they defy belief. The Iraqi Dinar, a currency that has been the subject of intense speculation and hope for decades, is now being reported as having officially revalued at a jaw-dropping rate of $5.98, while in a coordinated and equally explosive move. The Vietnamese Dong has skyrocketed to a valuation of $4.49. Let the sheer weight of those numbers settle in for a moment. We are not discussing a minor adjustment of a few percentage points. We are looking at a complete and total revaluation of two of the most watched currencies on the planet, an event that geopolitical analysts and economic forecasters have termed a global currency reset. And the implications are so vast they touch every single aspect of the global economy, from the price of oil on the international market to the stability of the United States dollar itself. The initial reports began trickling in from forex traders in Singapore and London who noticed highly unusual activity on their trading terminals. The typically stable and illiquid IQD USD and VND USD pairs were showing massive, sustained spikes. But this was not the volatile pumping and dumping of a speculative bubble. This was a clean, sharp, and definitive new rate being confirmed across multiple independent banking platforms, suggesting a top-down activation from the highest levels of the international financial architecture. The source of this activation, according to insiders who have proven reliable in the past, is a coalition of the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, and the central banks of the respective nations, who have collectively decided that the time is right to bring these economies into their proper alignment with the global system, moving them from their previously managed artificial rates to their true asset-backed values. For Iraq, that true value is rooted in one thing and one thing only: oil. With proven reserves of over 145 billion barrels, Iraq sits on one of the largest pools of wealth on the planet. And this revaluation is essentially the process of monetizing that underground asset and reflecting it directly in the value of its national currency. Think of it as the country finally cashing in its chips after decades of war and instability, using its immense natural resource wealth to launch itself into the upper echelon of global economic powers virtually overnight. The same principle applies to Vietnam, whose explosive growth as a manufacturing hub and its vast reserves of rare earth minerals have now been formally recognized by the international community through this staggering revaluation of the Dong. This is not a random act of charity. This is a calculated, strategic move to create a more balanced, multipolar financial world, reducing the overwhelming dominance of the US dollar and creating new pillars of economic stability in key geopolitical regions. The chatter on encrypted financial channels indicates that this process has been in the works for months, with behind-the-scenes negotiations involving not just bankers but world leaders, all culminating in this single defining moment. The term bank holiday that was announced in Vietnam just days ago, officially for system upgrades, now makes perfect sense. It was the necessary downtime to upload and synchronize the new exchange rate across the entire national banking infrastructure. Similar, less publicized preparations were underway in Iraq, with the Central Bank of Iraq going unusually quiet in the weeks leading up to this event, a silence that now speaks volumes. For the individual investor, the person who took a chance on this potential outcome, the math is now the most exciting part of the entire story. A currency that was valued at a fraction of a US penny is now worth nearly $6 whole. The multiplication of wealth that this simple equation represents is unprecedented in modern financial history. An investment that once seemed like a long-shot gamble has now transformed into a life-altering asset, and the window to act on this new reality is now wide open. But it is a window that will not stay open for long. The first wave of this information is hitting now, and the smart money is already moving. Now, let's cut through the excitement and the overwhelming numbers to anchor this event in the cold, hard bedrock of verifiable data and institutional movement. Because in a world saturated with financial noise and deliberate misinformation, the true signal of a paradigm shift is found in the corroborating evidence that pours in from disparate, independent sources, all pointing toward the same earth-shattering conclusion. The initial spark of the IQD and Dong revaluation may have been the flickering numbers on a forex terminal, but the confirmation that this is a legitimate system-wide event comes from the subsequent chain reaction now visible within global banking protocols, international wire transfer systems, and the unprecedented actions of sovereign wealth funds. Start with the banking infrastructure itself. Major multinational banks, particularly those with deep ties to the Middle East and Southeast Asia like HSBC, Standard Chartered, and Citi Private Bank, have reportedly initiated what is known internally as Code Red liquidity protocols. This is not a term used lightly. It is a contingency plan activated only for events that threaten to, or actually do, cause a fundamental shift in capital flows, instructing Treasury departments to secure unprecedented levels of US dollar liquidity to facilitate an anticipated massive surge in currency exchange operations. This is a defensive and operational maneuver, proving that these institutions are not just observing a rate on a screen, but are actively preparing for the real world volume financial tsunami that this revaluation will unleash. Furthermore, the Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication, or SUBIFT, the nervous system of global finance that messages every cross-border payment, has shown a dramatic and anomalous spike in traffic coded specifically for the Iraqi and Vietnamese currencies. These are not mere inquiries, these are confirmed, settled transactions at the new rates, moving between correspondent banks in the financial hubs of Dubai, Singapore, and Frankfurt. This is the most critical piece of evidence because SCUFT traffic is the definitive ledger of international finance. It does not deal in rumors, only in executed instructions, and the data streaming out of it right now paints a picture of a new financial reality already in motion. Adding another layer of undeniable proof are the reports from corporate treasury departments of major multinational oil and manufacturing companies with long-standing operations in Iraq and Vietnam. These companies, which have held local currency on their books for operational expenses, are now under direct orders from their chief financial officers to immediately begin the process of repatriating those funds at the newly confirmed rates, a process that involves not only their internal accounting but direct engagement with the Federal Reserve for the clearing and settlement of the vast sums of US dollars they will now be receiving. This corporate-level activity is a powerful testament to the reality of the event. These are not speculative investors, but conservative, risk-averse entities that move only on verified, bank-confirmed financial information. The geopolitical data points are equally compelling. The sudden and completely unannounced visit by the managing director of the International Monetary Fund to Baghdad last week, which was officially dismissed as routine consultations, now appears in a completely new light. It was almost certainly the final coordination meeting, the last green light being given before flipping the switch on the most significant monetary transformation in the history of the modern Iraqi state. Similarly, the quiet but rapid passage of new financial transparency laws through the Vietnamese parliament last month, laws that bring the country in line with international anti-money laundering and counter-financing of terrorism standards, was not a coincidence but a prerequisite demanded by the World Bank for this revaluation to proceed. Every single one of these data points, from the bank liquidity protocols and the SUBIFT traffic to the corporate treasury directives and the high-level political maneuvering, forms an interlocking web of confirmation that is impossible to dismiss. This is not a speculative bubble built on hope. This is the structured, deliberate, and meticulously planned execution of a new global economic order. And the evidence is not just convincing, it is overwhelming and publicly accessible for anyone who knows where to look beyond the headlines of the mainstream financial media, which tellingly remains in a state of silent, bewildered suspension, unable to report on an event they are legally forbidden from discussing until the official public announcements are made by the sovereign nations at the very center of this storm. So here you are, standing at the precipice of this new financial dawn, armed with the knowledge that what was once a distant dream is now a confirmed operational reality within the global banking system. And the most critical phase of this entire journey now begins, the phase of personal action, a narrow window of opportunity that separates the proactive from the reactive. Those who build generational legacies from those who are left to watch from the sidelines as the greatest wealth transfer of our lifetime unfolds without them. The first and most immediate step is one of verification and calm, deliberate execution. You must now contact the institution where you hold your assets. This contact must be strategic and professional to navigate the chaos that is undoubtedly beginning to swirl within these organizations. Do not call the general customer service line, as it will be flooded and ultimately useless. Your mission is to reach your specific point of contact, your private bank representative, your account manager at the currency exchange, or the high net worth client desk. And when you get them on the line, your demeanor is paramount. You must be calm, confident, and direct, speaking not as someone excited by a rumor, but as an informed investor following up on confirmed market developments. Your question is simple and precise. You are requesting a formal rate confirmation in the current buy-back procedure for your Iraqi Dinar or Vietnamese Dong holdings. Based on the cascading data from the last few hours, you should be quoted a rate that aligns strikingly with the figures we have discussed. And at that moment, the abstract becomes tangible. The theoretical becomes your new financial reality. The decision you face at that point is profound: to exchange a portion of your holdings to secure life, changing liquidity, or to hold for a potentially even higher post-activation equilibrium. While I am not a financial advisor, and this cannot be construed as formal financial advice, the fundamental principle of prudent wealth management in such a volatile, historic event is to take a significant portion of your profits off the table immediately to lock in gains that can secure your family's future for generations, eliminating all risk and granting you the ultimate asset, peace of mind and financial freedom. The subsequent phase, what happens after the funds hit your account, is where true financial intelligence separates itself from mere luck. You will be in possession of a substantial capital sum, and your first instinct might be to make large, celebratory purchases, but I urge you to resist that impulse completely for the first 90 days. Sudden wealth carries a psychological shock that has bankrupted countless lottery winners and professional athletes. Your priority must be preservation and strategic growth, not consumption. Your very next calls after securing your capital should be to assemble a professional team, a top-tier tax attorney who specializes in windfall income and international transactions to navigate the complex reporting requirements, a fee-only fiduciary financial advisor who is legally obligated to act in your best interest, not one working on commission, and a reputable estate planner to help you structure your assets for your heirs and for lasting impact. This is not just about wealth. It is about building an unshakable financial fortress that can withstand any future storm. Finally, and most importantly, you must begin to contemplate the broader purpose of this wealth, the mission that extends beyond your own portfolio. This revaluation event is about more than individual enrichment. It is about project-level wealth, a global infusion of capital intended to fund positive change, to empower communities, to support groundbreaking scientific research, and to heal our planet. You have been given a key to a door that most never even knew existed. What you do on the other side of that door will define your legacy for all time. This is your moment of truth. The intelligence has been delivered, the data has been verified, and the pathway to execution has been laid out with crystal clarity. The reports are real, the banking systems are live, and the opportunity is staring you directly in the face, demanding a response. The only question that remains is the most important one you will ever answer: what are you going to do about it? The clock is ticking, the window is open, and history is being written right now by those with the courage and the clarity to act. Do not let this be the story you tell your grandchildren about the one that got away. This is your call to action. Secure your legacy, verify your rate, execute your strategy, and step boldly into the future you were wise enough to prepare for. Go now.